Hello my darlings and welcome to another Bedroom Guru with me, Nicky. I hope you're doing well, and I'm going to continue from where I left off, which was talking about people that commit suicide. I'm now going to talk about traumatised souls that have gone over through murder or particularly violent death. Okay, let's concentrate more on murder though. I know it's a bit of a not dark subject, but you know, most of us most probably have heard of or connected with someone that has lost someone through being murdered. And I certainly have had a lot of murder victims come to me. I would most probably assume that's because I mainly dealt with murder inquiries when I was a detective. So perhaps that's why a lot of murder victims come to me. So they've kind of given me a very, very intimate insight into what happens when their life is taken by another. Okay. It's hard to explain, but I'm going to try and do it how I always do it, Nicky Allen way, layman's terms. Now, if you have been, and I'm so desperately sorry if you have, had a loved one murdered by someone else, then I think perhaps the biggest thing, and I learnt this when I was a family liaison officer, is the fact of what they went through while they were being murdered. You know, the fear, the terror, the pain. And I think sometimes lots of people stay locked in that. They stay locked in those last moments of their loved one and what happened to them. And that can create massive delays in your grieving process, and it can most probably, for some people, just keep you locked in that and for the rest of your days. And I cannot imagine for 1 minute how you feel being exposed to that. But I hope this brings a bit of light to your grieving. Not a lot, but I can tell you categorically from every murder victim that I've had come to me, this is what happens. Now, prior to the trauma that's going to be taking place on the body, on the mind, from what I've seen, when a murder victim shows me how they were murdered or what happened, they are standing next to me. Okay. And when this first happened, I'm like, it's a bit weird, because normally when I do a reading, I channel someone's energy and I can feel how they pass. If a heart attack, I feel a heart attack. You know, if they had a lump in their throat, I'll feel the lump in their throat or whatever, okay? But I never feel a murder. And I thought, that's a bit weird. I haven't felt anything, you know, that's happened to me here. And they said, no, this is why. What happens is when you are about to go through exceptional trauma, and this even covers people that perhaps have been kidnapped, and, you know, there's an amount of time that the body's subject to trauma before it passes, okay? What happens is the soul knows this is about to take place. It's also part of the soul contract that you wanted to go through this experience. I know this is going to sound really weird, but you know, some of you go, oh my God, nobody wants to experience that. But if you watch my other videos on soul journeys and what happens after we die and spirit visitations, you'll find out that we do ask and request certain life experiences when we're down here, because we're in such a perfect environment in the spirit world. Okay. So what happens is, as soon as any trauma is about to hit the physical body, the soul comes out of the body. If you think of, I don't know, ghost, for instance, you know, the soul comes out as soon as the body's passed. The soul comes out before that, okay, and it kind of stands back, and it's almost an onlooker to the trauma that's about to take place to that body, okay? So they don't physically, mentally go through it. It's really hard to explain that. Perhaps the ego does and the physical body, but they are taken out of it. The soul is taken away from the physical body during the trauma. Okay. Now what happens is that when the physical body passes, the soul then gets taken up by Azrael, perhaps met by other people from your family, taken up and goes through a healing situation. The healing situation, as I just mentioned in the suicide video, the healing situation that takes place ordinarily ends up in the celestial gardens where the fountain is. Some of you will know it's a fountain of life, fountain of youth, whatever you want to call it. And the seraphim basically sing to the soul and bathe the soul in this healing fluid. And what happens during that situation, because I've been taken through it by many souls who've shown me what happens, it's like what happened to this body that didn't really belong to them anymore is like a dim and distant memory. Okay, so they're aware of it happening, they're aware that something bad happened, but it really isn't relevant, because all they care about is now using their current energy to go through their transition, reunite with their friends and family, and work out how to get back down here to visit our loved ones, to let them know that they're all right. So the problem is, we are stuck with the last physical thing that happened to that body. So we are in absolute despair, grief, we're bereft, we're completely knocked for six, because all we can concentrate on is that someone's hand took their life, and that's what kills us, gives us anger, makes us want to kill ourselves. Okay, to them it's a dim, distant memory, because when they get up there, do you remember in a couple of videos I said ago that we expand our awareness, our whole soul memory comes back, and we're now this higher enlightened being. And this particular earth experience to us is just another tiny little speck of salt in a huge ocean of soul of soul survival, I suppose. And when we're up there, we know also the karma that takes place with the person that's responsible for taking our life. So yes, they could be incarcerated down on the earth plane, but that's all earth stuff. That's all earth stuff, okay? So the next question is, what happens to the murderer? Down here we want to kill him, don't we? Obviously there are states in the US that they obviously are put on death row. That's absolutely fine. But they are all human punishments. The ultimate is the soul punishment. But believe it or not, nobody punishes a soul. You do it to yourself. I've spoken about this many times in videos before, where when a murderer is taken up to the spirit world, as long as they don't, you know, some of them try and stop themselves from going up there because they know that they're going to get judged. But actually they're going to judge themselves. They go up. They speak with Jeremiah, and Jeremiah says, you've taken a human life, you weren't supposed to, and so you need to come with me. So they're then taken to the cherubim chamber, where they walk into a pool of divine truth, and that pool basically has sentience in it that zip in and out of our soul. And they come out of the body and they make a judgment, which is really your judgment of yourself and your actions. So what actions you've done and what you've actually dealt out, you then bathe in. So if you murdered loads of people, you will go through every single part of that murder that you created. Everything you created in life will reflect back, and you will bathe in it. So most people that have done that have gone against soul contracts, their ego or mental health, whatever has led them to murder people, normally their soul can't withstand the darkness that they've created, and so they end up completely dissipating. However, there are some people that go against the rule. For instance, I remember doing a reading for someone, and her nan came through, and then I saw the most atrocious things happening. Oh my goodness, it was just horrific. And I'm not going to tell you how he did it, but basically the nan's brother had killed her nan's two children, twins. There's actually a magazine article about this I did many moons ago. And so I took some time with this nan to ask about what happens because your family member killed your two children. And it turns out that he was exposed to mustard gas in the war, and it sent him into a really chronic condition of mental health and things like that. So when he went into the pool, his energy showed that he was, by all sorts, means, accounts, innocent. His heart was good, his soul was good, but an exposure of something physical on the earth plane changed his concepts, changed his mind, his balance, to lead to that action. So he didn't dissipate in the pool, but he was taken to places of learning, the halls of learning, to understand what had happened to that physical body. So you can imagine how he felt, you know. And then he ended up back with a soul cluster family. Does that make sense? So there's some people that are innocent, if you like, even if they've created an atrocity. Within them there's an innocence due to some other external circumstance that created that. And interestingly, again, I asked about soldiers in war, you know, that take people's lives. And again, it's a man-made thing. It's a man-made concept that we shall kill people in the name of religion or bloody oil or God knows what. And so that's where I saw the soldiers at the celestial pool being healed. They'd obviously gone to the pool, realised that it was an external circumstance that gave them, you know, they were qualified to be a soldier and they killed under orders, and that's what they were supposed to do. And, you know, if they did it under orders, that's fine. They then get healing to deal with the fact they've taken lives. And then obviously if they did anything beyond the normal realms of rules of combat, then perhaps they would dissipate. Does that make sense? So all I can say to you is that there is nothing that I'm going to say here that's going to bring any comfort to you, I don't think, apart from the fact that I hope you believe or know that the soul is taking out prior to any trauma hitting that person, your loved one, or the person you know. Okay, it just doesn't happen. Every single time a murder victim has come through, they're standing next to me going, look what happened to me. It's like a third party. It's like them showing me a movie play out of what happened. Okay, so hopefully that can bring some comfort to you. But with our human ego systems, we want to hurt. We're so full of anger and we want justice. And yes, you know, there are people that go to prison, but that's still not enough. But all I can tell you is that the karmic ramifications of people's actions are 1,000 millionfold up there. And I remember when they showed me what happens to a soul and how it dissipates and bubbles in this black, evil, horrible stuff with the seraphim with their oxen and lion heads looking down. Oh my God. And they only gave me a tiny little snip of what that soul goes through. Hell no. So there is justice, but I feel that, you know, I don't see it as prison or whatever. I see the justice as I know that no matter what happens down here, every single soul that's brought pain, hurt, taken another's life, or done whatever they've done, they will face it when they get there, and there are no holds barred. They are faced with what they've given out to other people and they bathe in it. So to me, that's enough. That's enough for me to know that there is some form of universal justice out there. Let's switch back to the murder victim. Once they've gone through their transition of healing, they are then spending time doing what they love, and they're very happy and they feel safe and they're with their loved ones. And the only pain, I suppose, that they may experience is when they come back down into the ether here and see how much we're suffering. But they come with a strength and a knowledge, and they will bring strength, comfort, and try and do everything they can, whether you're aware of it or not, to help you through this scenario. Okay, so just try and remember, for all of those that have been exposed to an experience of having a loved one or someone you know murdered, know that the trauma that they go through is a distant memory by the time they get up and get healed. So it's very much like childbirth, I suppose. You're like, I'm never going to do this again, never am I going to do it again. And then you have another baby because you kind of just think, yeah, it weren't great at the time, but it's, you know, you forget it, don't you? You forget the pain and you forget the misery of you wanting to kill everybody around you while you're having the baby. So it's very much like that. That's how someone likened it to me once when I said, what's it like? You know, you were murdered and now you're a really happy spirit person. You're coming down and visiting your sister. And this particular spirit person, she'd been stabbed multiple times by her boyfriend. She goes, no, I'm all right. I'm just worried about my sister. I'm like, oh my God. Because she knows the bigger picture. She knows that she's healed and that it's a distant memory for her. She knows that he's going to get absolutely smashed when he gets up here for killing her, the boyfriend. And all she cares about is bringing comfort, signs, synchronicity, and a presence to her family down here to try and let them get through it. Again, perhaps it was an agreement in a soul contract that they all went through this because they were too bored in the wonderful utopia that is the heavenly realms. Can you say it? The heavenly realms. So that's what happens to murder victims. Again, it's pretty much the same with, violent deaths. When my dad, he had a van tip over on top of his head in a road accident. And I said, oh my God, what was that like? And he goes, it's okay, I just want to, and it was kind of like he dismissed it. Not because he didn't want to deal with it. It's just like, well, it happened. But I'm a whole soul again. I've got all my memories of my whole soul incarnations. I've got all this knowledge, and I know everything that's going to happen. So that was just a tiny little blip that took place. Whereas to us, it changes our lives forever, doesn't it? So anyway, that's what happens to murder victims from my point of view, from my experience of hearing them, seeing them, and then bringing me their stories over 30 odd years or 40 years of doing this. So I hope that does help a little bit. If you need any, cruises, excellent for over here. I don't know what places that you can join over in the States, but if there's anything you need help with, just comment below. Let me know if you've been exposed to anything like this at all and how you've got through it. Perhaps you could bring strength to other people on the comments below. Anyway, I thought I would bring that up as well because I was talking about suicide before. Really, really light subjects, but it happens to us all at the end of the day. So we can't bulk away from things that people don't like talking about. It's a fact of life at the end of the day. It's a fact of life, and so we do have to deal with it head on because it happens. It happens every day. So I'm going to love you and leave you with that. Like, share and subscribe if there's anybody that you feel this may help. And I'll speak to you very soon. Have a blessed day and God bless you all. Bye now.